late.
Okay, welcome. Tonight we're just going to jump right into it. Tonight we have our special guest, Representative Ruth Buffalo. She's the first American Indian Democratic woman in the North Dakota State House. And she was instrumental in the implementation of the Missing, Murdered, and Indigenous People database in North Dakota. She helped also with the implementation of a bill that requires Indigenous studies be taught in North Dakota schools, which is amazing. And she worked on legislation that helps with human trafficking prevention. And she is one of my heroes. Like she sets the bar for like, I'm just so honored that you're here tonight, and thank you for coming. And she's also a supporter and friend to Leonard Peltier. Welcome to our book club, and it's an honor to have you here. I'm just so excited to have you here tonight.
Yeah, thank you, Madzigidads in the Hidadza language. It's an honor to be here virtually with you, and thank you for working with my schedule. And yeah, I'm just honored and excited to be here and to have a good conversation with you.
Thank you. Can you tell us a little bit about like your how you learned about Leonard Peltier? I know how you learned about it, but maybe you could share your history of knowing about him and how you became an advocate for him.
Sure. I'll start with first, out of respect for you and the ancestors, and just want to introduce myself in the Hidadza language. So Niro Shadzi Nakpagao. Hello, good people. How are you? Madashi Mia Edesheds. My name is Woman Appears, and Mabe Sigids Hidadz Nakpagao. It's a good day today, and I'm thankful to be in this virtual space with you. I've heard of, so I remember hearing of Leonard Peltier, years ago, but I remember I was at a water summit in Rapid City. I was invited there to speak on a panel, I think in 2019 or so, and a lot of the vendors and booths there, one was a booth for Leonard Peltier and raising awareness. So I remember at that time signing a petition with Jean Roach, and then also just got invited to sign off on another letter as recent as this past October. And then from there, just in visiting with the colleagues that I have, or friends or peers that I have who are state legislators and who are also Native Americans, we decided we need to, find ways to offer up our support. And so we put forth a letter. I believe the first letter we issued was of 24 people, I would say 24 Native American state legislators, calling on President Biden to release Leonard. We also sent a copy of that to the Bureau of Prisons. And then from there, just as the timeline worked, we were able to present this idea to the National Caucus of Native American State Legislators. And so they were in support of a resolution that we drafted. And so that was approved. Membership within that caucus is 85 plus members throughout the United States. And then from there, when Leonard contracted COVID, we also, the same caucus, issued another letter to Biden asking for Leonard's immediate release. So that's some of the work we've done so far. And then I'm also a member of the Native American Caucus within the Democratic National Committee. So we are planning on submitting a resolution also at our summer meeting, which will take place in September. Also, I'm a member of the National Native American Boarding School Healing Coalition's board. I'm the second vice president, and so we are also going to issue a resolution as an organization calling on President Biden to release Leonard.
Could I say something?
Yes, go ahead, Dawn.
Ruth, I just want to thank you for being one of the people that does things. There are so few people in government that actually do things. And I have watched you you don't run around and make a lot of speeches and you're not driving people crazy on social media. I mean, you actually get things accomplished. And Ruth has agreed to write the foreword for Leonard's new art book, The Color of Truth.
Oh, wow.
And he is very grateful that you are willing to do that. After the meeting, if you can tell me, I've got about 40 pages done. I'll send you what I've got done so you can look at it.
Okay, that sounds
Is
good.
there anything that you want to talk about tonight?
No, I'm here to listen and share, and yeah, just engage in a good conversation.
Okay. Well, who has questions? Go ahead, Nancy. You're muted, hon. You've got to unmute yourself.
I have questions.
Okay, do you work with Teresa Sheldon and Deborah Parker?
Yes, right now Deborah is the CEO for the National Native American Boarding School Healing Coalition, and Teresa Sheldon is now the policy manager and advisor. And she was previously just with the DNC as
DNC.
the political organizer. Yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty hardworking women.
Yes, they are both former tribal council
Yeah.
reps as well. So yeah.
Yeah, we have a lot of things in common.
These are
We're
the
all
women
former
getting things
council
done.
people.
Paulette, if you'd like to go next.
Ruth, the new Supreme Court ruling on sovereignty and the taking away of all the native nations that are in Oklahoma has reduced their sovereignty. Is that going to affect your nation and the Anishinaabe people as well? Do you have any idea yet?
Oh, yes, definitely. And that's gonna affect all of us. But yeah, and thank you for reminding me. I apologize. I didn't make mention of where I'm dialing in from. So I'm currently in the stolen lands of the Dakota and the Anishinaabe people here in what is present day Red River Valley, Fargo, North Dakota, which is right on the North Dakota-Minnesota border. But yes, the Supreme Court ruling on the Castro versus Huerta ruling, yes, will definitely impact all of us and the tribal nations as well. I'm a enrolled citizen or enrolled tribal member of the Mandan, Hedodz, and Arikara Nation. And so our tribal headquarters are located north of the Missouri River, north of Bismarck. So that's where I'm from. I'm from Mandaree, which is located on the Fort Berthold Indian Reservation. But yes, that ruling is very detrimental to all tribal nations.
Could you expand a little bit on when you say detrimental? Could you expand on that?
Sure. Well, it just really, so I guess to back up a little bit further, tribal sovereignty has always been on the chopping block. And so I think back to, was it 2016 or 2020? It had to have been 2016 or there was an individual in South Dakota that was running for Congress, but he mentioned that he was going to, one of his platforms or things that he was running on was to dissolve federal Indian lands, so to get rid of Indian reservations, but he didn't make it out of the primary. I believe he didn't make it onto the November ballot. But so I'm definitely not a federal Indian law expert. And so there is a lot of good literature out there and people who have been working on these cases for years. But what I mean by this ruling being detrimental is that it definitely weakens tribal sovereignty.
The Supreme Court is at a control period. We were talking earlier about this is comparable to the fall of the Roman Empire with Wi-Fi. Gabriella Wells is with us from
Yay!
Amnesty International.
Welcome, Gabriella.
It is
She's
so
our-
good to see you,
She's
my
San
friend.
Francisco Amnesty, and she's a great advocate for Leonard, and she's started many panels. I've been to two of them actually for the international conference that they had. And welcome, Gabriella. I'm so happy that you're here.
I'm really happy to be here. Thanks, guys. Happy to see you. Wonderful Ruth Buffalo too. And thanks for
Yes.
Kimberly's constantly sending me the Zoom links, and I finally am here. I might have to deck out early, but I really do want to come to these, and thank you so much for always inviting me.
It's good to see you, my friend.
So Ruth, I have a question. What would you recommend for us as just supporters of Leonard, what we can do like to help him get out? I mean, we try and spread awareness. We all go on Twitter, we're on Facebook, but what would you recommend that we do?
I mean, I think for sure keeping, the prayers coming for Leonard. I think that comes to mind right away is, always being in prayer for his release and, for his family and loved ones and community. But I also continuing to be a thorn in the side, so to speak, to the White House, to Biden, because I remember not long after Trump got into office, he had a press conference regarding the Dakota Access Pipeline and openly said, well, my phone hasn't been ringing, I haven't heard from anybody. And, our jaws literally dropped because we were like, what? But so I know, and even at the state level, I have colleagues in the state legislature who will openly share, in a House floor debate that they haven't heard from anyone, so that there must not be any issues. And so I know I'm probably preaching to the choir here, because I know many of you are working so hard and very diligent in contacting the White House, whether it's through a phone call, whether it's through email or snail mail. But I just also with that want to say thank you for all of your efforts, your continued efforts, and perseverance to work on getting Leonard released, and the decades and decades of work that have gone through. I'm very new to helping Leonard, and so just want to make sure that I'm doing the best I can and supporting all of the efforts and amplifying your efforts the best I can, but definitely continuing to call the White House and putting pressure on them so that they don't forget, and that they never forget, and that, someday that, maybe it's soon, that Leonard will walk out of prison, the federal penitentiary where he's at in Florida. That's the hope. So.
Thank you. I slacked off on my letter writing. I used to write a letter a day. I need to do that again. Go ahead, Mom. Sam, you've got to unmute yourself.
Unmute yourself, Mom. She's our book club mom. We all love her. Go ahead, Sam, unmute yourself. And I just want to let everyone know as she's unmuting herself that I put the phone number, it's 202-456-1111. And you can be reached Tuesday through Thursday, 11 to 3 p.m. And then you can also contact 24/7 www.whitehouse.gov/contact and contact the president that way. And also tweet #FreeLeonardPeltier. And I think it's a good idea to tag your senator, your individual senators. We have 4 senators presently that have been outspoken. Recently, Bernie Sanders. That's amazing. And so I mean, just tag your senator and say, hey, add yourself to this list and add yourself to this for support. So go ahead.
Yes.
Are you ready?
Yeah,
Are
I'm
you
ready. Oh, somebody's gonna go ahead. Who was it?
No, go ahead, Sam.
I just
right.
want to bring up these postcards. I've been handing these postcards out to
Those are great.
everybody.
Yeah.
I need some more. So I just go print them out myself.
I will give you a phone number after the Zoom call.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, go ahead, Sam.
Okay. It's like we were discussing before about doing a new movie. We've had videographers on the book club show. I remember 2 of them, possibly 3, which is remarkable. If we could do an updated version of what happened to Leonard, narrated by him, by David, by everybody concerned that's still alive, that'd be fantastic, because every every single video that's been done on Leonard and the incident at Oglala and et cetera, is old. I mean, it's like the newest is what, 2019 or something. And people nowadays, if they're not looking at fresh, updated stuff, they don't care. They'll just scroll on by, you know what I mean? Anyway, Paulette, what do you think?
You cannot, Leonard has not been allowed to do any audio with videographers for the last 15 years. In
Yeah.
fact, the Bureau of Prisons has done that for all the political prisoners. None of them are allowed to do anything. He's very lucky every now and then he can get a press. But when I was at the office, what we had to do was send him the questions, and then he would call out and they would ask him and he would discuss the questions. But the Bureau of Prisons has said no videos are allowed at this time. And we haven't been able to get anybody that could get any ruling changed, because they look at each warden as a fiefdom. And if the warden says no, the VOP backs them 100%. So it wouldn't be able to be narrated by Leonard. But we have a lot of wonderful native speakers that could do the narration from his nation and from all these other nations that he's touched. So, you know, that's not impossible. And there are people that have old footage that has never been seen that we could get a hold of. So it's not impossible,
Right.
but it would be very taxing for whoever is doing the audio.
Well, they'd have to be, you know, a volunteer and on the ball and know what they're doing, of course, because
We'll
this
talk to the
would be,
podcast guys and see if we can put something together. I know a
David,
screenwriter, maybe
do
we
you have
could
any-
hook them all up.
Any input regarding this or any?
what?
Well, I know Oliver Stone, who was a famous director, was going to do a movie about Leonard Peltier back in about 1990 something. And then somebody sabotaged it, and then they ended up, another director did the movie Thunderheart.
Yeah.
And that kind of ended the most positive possibility that was going on at the time. And I don't think there's been one that positive possibility since then.
Right. But this is 30 years later or 32.
Yeah.
Okay.
We ought to
And we
have
don't
a
have John
meeting and talk to the
Trudell saying
podcast people and see if we can put something together. Robert Pilot
mean-
is here from Native Roots Radio, one of Ruth's friends. Robert, hello. Do you have anything you want to say, my friend?
Yeah, I
Welcome,
have
Robert.
I have a film by Susie Bear, Warrior, The Life of Leonard Peltier, right with me right now on VHS. Does anybody know that video?
I have not seen it.
I've
Yes,
seen it. And I'm in it.
That's where you can get extra footage from. Ruth, Susie has always said that if we wanted it, people could use what's called the cuttings that she didn't use. But it's very good. It's a lot of talking heads, but Elvina is in it, Leo, and so it's very old in relationship to Leonard's family and friends. I think even Dino's parents are in it. And out of that, almost all of them have passed. But she has said that she's more than willing to share the offcuts that she made. So there is that. And there
So
are people, like I say, that are working on some stuff right now.
So she has all the raw footage of this movie?
Yes,
It's her
Susie Beer
movie.
made the movie. She made the movie, and
That's
so
her movie.
Oh, wow.
so she has the raw footage that she didn't use.
Well, Oh,
And
wow.
she's in New York, you know, I mean, she's a good supporter of Leonard's.
Where
I
is she
have
in
a
New York?
Pardon?
Where is she in New York? I was just there.
She's in New York City.
Yeah, where?
I'll
Well,
get
I
that
don't-
information to you, Robert.
That'd be
She's on
great
Facebook.
because I go to New York a lot.
Okay.
She's on Facebook.
Yeah, she's also,
Okay.
I was also wondering, like, oh, I have a train going by. Sorry about that. Okay, so Ruth, I was wondering, like, if you have any recommendations for the youth to have their voices heard, like, and how to, like, I kind of want to know how you got involved in activism and in politics, and maybe you could share with the youth that'll be listening to this later on how they can also get involved.
Sure. I think back to things that I experienced at a young age. I'm a big sister biologically, from, you know, my mom and dad. And so I think that just kind of gave me an innate or an inherent responsibility to want to protect my younger siblings and sometimes my older siblings as well. So I think back to just finding ways to create change within your reach. And so whether it's talking to one other individual and bouncing an idea off, but just finding ways to, you know, take action, but to also stay grounded in your spirituality. Growing up, you know, one of my younger sisters, we almost lost her to a misdiagnosed at our local field clinic in Mandaree, and that really prompted me to want to set out to become a medical doctor at that point in time. And then it wasn't until like right before my senior year of undergrad in college, I got to look at the cadavers that I was scheduled to work on that following my whole senior year, and decided I couldn't do that. And so had a really, you know, life-changing event there and a change of plans. And so actually took a year off and worked in Minneapolis as a youth worker for the Division of Indian Work. It was the Youth Leadership Development Program at that time. So I was a youth worker there for a year, and I was going to do social work across the river at St. Paul at Metro State, because our director, Vivini Crow, was alumni of the social work program at Metro State. But so yeah, I just found ways to take action within my reach and try to make things better back home. Years later, we lost our baby sister. She was only 19 for a month, and that again was really hard to go through, because as a big sister, I worked really hard to protect my younger siblings, and I wasn't able to protect my baby sister. And so still just, you know, worked on finding ways to create change within our community and find ways to prevent further tragedies from happening. So that's kind of what prompted me into action and to stay involved and just help where I can.
I like that. Thank you. Create change within your reach. I've
Yeah.
never looked at it that way. I
So
want to directly go into the White House and shake them.
yeah, and I think we can, each of us, you know, can make change from within our reach, whether it's, you know, like signing the petition that Andrew put in the link, you know,
Yeah.
you know, whether it's a follow, a like, share on social media, and you're all really great in supporting the release of Leonard and everything that you do. So yeah, I just appreciate, you know, I think I'm preaching to the choir, so, but
You know, Ruth, like oftentimes, like, okay, when Trump was president, like he was always on Twitter, right? Sometimes it feels like, do they actually get, if the president isn't actually there personally, does he get record or something kept of our requests? Because sometimes it just feels, I don't know. I send letters every day and it's always a form letter and I don't really feel heard. And I was just wondering if you had any insight about that. Does he actually get our messages?
I'll second that. I have written my congressman 5 times about this. I've gotten 5 form letters back saying my most important job is listening to you.
Mhm.
I write them back and say, if that's your most important job, hear me. I get another form letter back.
Yeah,
How
you
do
know,
we be heard?
it's definitely very good questions on the process of the White House. I'm not familiar with it at all. I would like to think that they read every single letter. I know it's very different from state government, where I'm a state house representative. But it's definitely an area that does need attention. I think just from hearing you speak, I think of my time as a legislative intern for Representative Dr. Pankawi Victor's COZAD. She, did a lot of work for all people, and she's not running for reelection. So she has 12 years under her belt, but Kansas is 2-year terms, pretty much like everywhere else other than North Dakota, we're 4-year terms for state house reps. But I think of a time where people were legislators in Kansas were trying to not hear their constituents or not hear the people who they work for, because really, it's true, like we as elected officials work for the people, and it's, not the other way around. It's we work for the people. And so there was a committee hearing that was canceled the day of without any notice. And it was to provide additional driving, I forget how it was worded, but it was to allow individuals to have more driving, less driving restrictions for documented or undocumented individuals. But they canceled the hearing the day of. These individuals, are working in the fields and helping with keep food on the table across America, but they canceled the bill hearing the day of the hearing. But busloads of people coming from all directions across Kansas to get to Topeka, their state capital, and so they still showed up. So it was kind of it was really good to watch, to see elected officials being held accountable by the people they represent. So busloads of people came into the state capitol. The committee thought they didn't have to hear from the people, but they still showed up because they got the notification. They didn't get the notification in time, and so busloads of people showed up. And so Pankawi was there directing traffic, connecting people to their respective representatives and state legislators. So I think even if there is a way to show up in person, that would be good as well. Face to face is always, it's also a good avenue to be heard. So showing up face to face, but still doing what you can within your reach. So.
Could I just walk down to the state capitol and demand to see my congressman?
Yep, you can walk in. I know though, with the nation's capital in DC, I think I last was there in April, I believe, early April. And at that point in time, I don't know if the restrictions have changed, but back in April, you had to contact your congressional delegation. And then you'd have to make an appointment, and then they would come down and escort you. So you weren't able to just go in and walk around the state capitol the nation's capital like we normally would have been. But because of the January 6th insurrection, things have changed a great deal with security.
Thank you. I'm tired of the form letters. I want to talk to my congressman. Thank you.
But your congressman should have time for you when it's off season. I mean, he has to have an office in your area. And so you don't have to go to DC to see your congressman. You just go down to his local office. And
yeah, I live right by the state capitol.
Right. So you can just go there and see your congressperson, But even if it's the state capitol, he would have his own office in Sacramento. So
Yeah.
you could see him when he's in his office. We've done that a lot, is have people, when they're not in session in DC, go in and visit their local congressperson and talk with them about Leonard's case. So
Yeah.
that's one of the ways that you can do it. And if it's your personal congressman, then you have a lot more because you have their vote. And so it's,
Right.
they're more willing to listen to you if you're from their district.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I think Ruth is right, even probably for the state, if you go online to their thing, you can make an appointment and then just go down at that time and talk with them.
And if anybody needs the contact information, I have a list of all of the congressmen and their contact emails and phone numbers. So just reach out to
Thank you.
me. Also, Gavrila has some input. She's from Amnesty International San Francisco. Go ahead, Gavrila.
Yeah, my hand's so pale, nobody could see it against my wall.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I was gonna say a couple things. One is that in theory, they're supposed to tally all the letters and petitions and calls that come in. And they actually have to. So I'm talking about, like state senators, not legislators, but and representatives. And we scheduled a visit. You can do virtual visits still, I think. So we had done one with Pelosi's office a while back. And what you do to meet with your state representative is you would, look them up online, connect with their staffer and organize a visit. And what you would want to do is be extremely professional, because that's, obviously how you're heard the best. And bring you would want to bring a leave behind. So something that you leave with them about Leonard's case. You would want to obviously be well-spoken, have a few different people maybe speak on it. And so you guys could do virtual visits, I believe.
Awesome.
Yeah. So that would be, that was just, I opened my mouth and raised my hand for both of those items.
Thank you, Gavrila.
Thank you, Gabriella.
Yeah. Okay, David, go ahead.
Yeah. Ruth was saying about doing stuff within your reach. One of the things that a person really needs to understand as they start getting involved in activism or whatever you want to call it, is that first you need to start with yourself. Make yourself as knowledgeable about what you're going to be talking about or dealing with. And anything that you can think of, recognize that the opposition can think of it also. And if you're doing good work, the reason it's called good is because there's bad. And those bad people aren't stupid, they're clever, and they work at their jobs and stuff. And it's not an easy job. And the better you get at what you do, the more you'll be attacked by the opposition. And then you got to deal with all the other human emotions that go along with being an activist of sorts. And it's not easy. And as Ruth could probably tell you, that sometimes the worst attacks come from someone within your own circle there. There's jealousy elements and stuff. And when you're working for people who have been traumatized and in poverty and suffered all kinds of things, it's not easy. And a lot of times good people get started and they become disgruntled or disappointed that, to some of the things that are said to them. But you've got to get your own self together first, and then you start dealing with the opposition. And a lot of times people think they can cure the problem almost immediately or something, but it's a long-term thing. Sometimes it's a lifetime thing, depending on what it is. But it's not like a 6-week session of TV movies or some episodes or something. It's much longer than that. It's a marathon, not a foot race. And it takes a lot of perseverance to do any of it. And so you start with educating yourself, making yourself physically, mentally, spiritually strong, or whatever it takes to help you enter the ring of contention that you have to deal with when you fight against these injustices that are taking place. I hope. That's it.
Thank you, David.
So does anyone have
Anybody
any
else want to
questions?
chime in?
Oh, go ahead, Mom. Go ahead, unmute yourself. Mom has a question for.
All right, yeah, David's 100% right. You have to develop a armor, a shell that in between yourself and your naysayers. Because if you can imagine it, it's possible, okay? There's no such thing as impossible. If your mind can think it up, the rest of you follows right behind. And you just have to toughen your hide, so to speak, your naysayers and detractors and people that like to pull your chain and stuff like that. Isn't that right, David?
Yes, ma'am.
Yep. And
First drills are helpful.
I have yet to meet the person that can get through my little wall, you know? It's like, well, if you don't agree with me, rock and roll, it's a free world, you know? Do your
I can
thing.
attest that that's true.
Yeah, it's like, do your damnedest, go ahead.
But I'm
You
a
know,
little
you're not gonna
softer, so I
change
just,
the way I think, you know, because I've had almost 72 years of practice thinking this, you know? And I just, it's what I've told you, Kimberly, you gotta get a shell going on.
it's true.
Like
I
an
just call
army.
Mom and cry.
Yeah, yeah, and then I tell you to toughen up.
Yeah, she does. So does anyone else have a question for anyone here? Go ahead and unmute yourself if you have any questions.
I have a question. Maybe Ruth could ask through the maybe some contacts or channels, ask the federal government, whoever's in charge or could possibly make a difference. What would they want? What would they what would it take to free Leonard Peltier?
Exactly.
Right.
You know, right up front. You know.
Do you have the magic answer?
Just, I mean, I don't think the question's ever been asked. Like, what would it take to free
Well,
Leonard Peltier?
I went through some other people and asked one time, and the answer I got back wasn't an answer. It was a question. They said, "What's in it for us?"
God.
Wow.
And I was asking through a contact with a person who had formerly been part of the U.S. Pardon and Parole Commission. And the answer I got back was, "What is it? What's in it for us?"
The beggars.
That was during the Obama administration.
Oh God.
Anyway,
It greatly
that would be
concerns
it.
me that there is no oversight over the BOP and the DOJ. How do we make it worth their while?
I have no idea how to make it worth their while. You know, the only times they really deal with us is when we have something they want, we're a source of embarrassment, or we are in some way an opposition to something they want to do or costing them money or something. We have to make it not worth it to get them to stop oppressing us in some way. And that's the way it's always been.
You have to
It's
be
all about
polite
money.
and thorny.
Go ahead, Mom.
Okay, one of the several things that we as Leonard supporters can do, and I'm talking about worldwide, we can have demonstrations like we had in the late 70s, 80s, you know, when you could not see the cement for the people that were holding up the AIM banner and Free Leonard Peltier signs, and I mean carpet the ground. People of all walks of life and colors and shapes and sizes, etc. I would love to see a good old-fashioned walk through DC type demonstration where the only things out of our mouth was Free Leonard Peltier. That's it. No psycho gun waving lunatics that think Democrats eat babies and drink their blood. None of that crap. Just Free Leonard, period. Thousands upon thousands of us.
I do know that there's a walk being planned in, I believe it's starting in September. And so I'll post that in our book club, the links to that. So hopefully we can all join in on that. But I'm just really excited about the virtual meetings. I'm hoping that's still going on. And thank you for that, Gabriella. That's something I want to definitely partake in.
That's valuable information, and they are going to seriously regret that you gave me that information.
So, okay, so it's almost 8 o'clock my time, but I just wanted to thank you, Ruth. Like, you've been an inspiration to all of us, and thank you so much for taking this time to come here tonight and I'm sorry, I think we have a question. Go ahead, Nancy. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
I'd like to thank you. Meeting on, but also there's a lot of people over here that in Washington that do support Leonard Peltier. And I've been sending out these postcards, giving them to people. And I think that would be a good example, because letters can always be like tossed, but when you get a postcard, you're actually going to look at it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and so I would encourage everybody to do the postcards, and I agree with doing a demonstration. I think that would be great to do a demonstration, and maybe we get some of these old timers there that were there, you know, when that happened with Leonard, like, you know, we have a lot of old timers that, you know, was with Leonard, and, you know, we're friends with Leonard, and like Jimbo Simmons and Wounded Knee, and, you know, there's all these guys from AIM that know Leonard, and it would be good to follow them. And I think we could just raise money to GoFundMe page for people who don't have the means to go over there. Like,
yes, for gas stipends.
Yeah.
Yes, that would be a fantastic idea.
Nancy, I put my phone number in the chat. Would you give me a call?
Yeah, I'll call you.
You know,
Can you
those,
see the chat?
Go ahead, Paulette.
those postcards, Nancy, when I was at the office, we sent out 20,000 that we know have gotten to the president. That's between the end of Obama and Trump. We know 20,000 of them have been received. So all you can do is keep sending them in, because every president, you have to start all over again.
I want to show you this
I have a
picture.
question real quick.
I want to show you this picture real quick.
Okay.
See that picture right there?
Love that.
Pull it down, Nancy, there.
Yeah, right there. Up a little. Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So my uncle got an award, Billy Frank, by President Obama. And President Obama actually met with all the tribes all the time. And so when we was back there, I turned around and looked at him. I said, you actually need to free Leonard Peltier. You know, he should have freed him. He should not have let the Democratic Party bully him into not freeing him, because it's the Democratic Party, but it's also the FBI. But then the FBI, some of the FBI and the prosecutors say, no, you need to free him because he was tried wrong. And well, he's still there.
Yeah, it was a disappointment for sure. I have an idea.
So
why don't we pick a day where we all send postcards or letters, like
that'd be good.
The same day, so that it'll all
everybody to send the postcards in.
Like, so they'll all arrive approximately like at the same time.
How about the 15th?
Yeah, like, and so like as opposed to just sending random things, let's all send them all in the same time. Let's really push.
Try to get as many people as you can to send something to the White House.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can break the mailman's back.
Yeah, so like they'll all arrive within, you know, a few days of each other. And if we can get a bunch of people to do that, it might be a little bit more impressive than just sporadic.
Yeah,
even
I agree with that.
Scrawling with crayon, free Leonard Peltier.
Who's talking?
Is there a,
Go ahead,
this is Robert.
Hi, Robert.
Is there a template? Is there a template for this?
Yes, I have the template.
Postcard?
I'll send it to you. They're actually
Because
printable.
I'm at my store is going to be at the Minnesota State Fair, and there's 2 million people that go through the fair.
Wow.
Yes, I'll send you the template. I'll send you the template. Oh my gosh, that'd be so amazing.
When is that
So-
fair? Let me know when that fair is.
It's
Yes.
the end of August to Labor Day. It's 12 days. It's the biggest fair in the country.
Could you
Yep.
post it? Could you post it
Right.
on Facebook?
Oh yeah,
I'm
it's
gonna
in
do it.
Minnesota, the Twin
Robert
Cities.
posts his show in the Tate Wikuwa group in Facebook almost every day.
Yes, he has an amazing show and
Yes, he does.
and
Him
Yeah,
and his
maybe
wife
we-
both. I'm a big fan of your wife. I'm a fan of you also.
Yeah.
but-
aren't you guys the cutest though on the beach and stuff? So just in closing, I just want to again thank Representative Ruth Buffalo. It's been such a pleasure to have you here. Cute earrings, like love the earrings. She's always dressed so
Yeah,
cute.
this is shallow, but you dress extremely well, Ruth.
really cute. Like, and I retweeted just so you know. I found out where she got her clothes because she posted something. So like she's always just so cute, and it's an indigenous. What was the designer of the thing that you had? I tweeted of yours.
Oh, Jamie Okama.
Oh, Damie Okama. I'm gonna
Oh, I
tweet
buy from her.
you. Shout out to Damie Okama. So
I
and
buy
thank-
from thrift stores.
yeah, so thank you again, Ruth, for coming. It was such a pleasure to have and an honor to have you here. You are my inspiration, and I'm fangirling. I'm just gonna admit it. So
Well, thank you.
and thank you everyone.
Ruth, would you like me to send what I have done of the book to Robert?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. No,
Okay.
is that okay with you, Robert? Hopefully it's okay.
Anyway, thank you again. And next
Oh,
week,
thank you.
thank you. It was such an honor and a pleasure to have you here. And thank you all for coming and hashtag free Leonard Peltier.
Thank you.
15,
Thank you. See you.
What's for
15,
next week?
everybody
Kimberly?
send
Thank you.
something.
It's,
What do we bring for next week?
The agenda, I'll post the agenda, or Catherine will post the agenda. She was a little sick tonight, so we'll be doing chapters. Oh, Gavrilo, you
Oh,
still?
no, I'm leaving now. Whoops. I was just gonna say to Robert, if he could do photo actions with signs.
yeah.
Yes. Amnesty has
Photo
photo actions. I'll also be posting those in the book club group on Facebook, so.
No,
Bravo, this
Robert
is
at the big
Paulette.
Oh,
fair.
no, photo actions. Hold a sign that says free Leonard and take the pictures, and then we can all.
But
add our-
for Robert. at
Yes,
the big
yes.
fair. Are you still there, Robert? Sorry.
Yeah, a lot of
Sorry,
talking
I'm
going
really
on.
out of it, you guys. I apologize. This is not a representation of me, and I was not going to talk, and I was going to be blacked out there, but then. my
Who's
friend-
speaking?
Gavrilo from
Gavrilo.
Amnesty International.
Oh, hey, how's it going?
Hey, sorry, I'm a bit out of it, but I just wondered if you could please take some signs with you at this fair and have people do photo actions and very politely post them on social media. So when they do the postcard, if they're inspired to also do a photo action for Leonard, that
Yeah,
would be
that's a great-
great. You have all
That's a
those
great
people
idea.
there. And in your bookstore, if you could have just a little booth in your bookstore where people, where you could have books about Leonard there, and then people could come by if they're inspired. I thought about that last
No,
That's a
time.
good
that's
idea.
really cool. Do you know how to get a hold of
Gavrilo,
me?
do you have the picture of David riding his horse? Painted on the horse,
Here's a
is
photo
free
action
Leonard
with a free
Peltier?
Leonard sign.
Yeah, from a long time ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you
Hey,
do you know how to
David.
do you
Hey,
know
Dave,
do you know how to get a hold of me?
I do. Several ways. So yeah, I'll send them
Shoot,
your way. Yeah, I have
Shoot me
another.
an email.
Okay, I will. And just a funny little side.
Where are you located?
I'm in San Francisco.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, and I'll send it to you
Go
soon.
ahead, sorry.
because I'm gonna be missing in action again for a few weeks. But David, I met your granddaughter.
No, that's a really good idea.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
you have
I-
a perfect
In San
name.
Francisco, the artist,
Did you hear
What?
that, David?
the one that's an artist.
Yeah, I met Felicia.
Yeah.
I met Felicia and
Yeah.
it was such a weird thing. I was walking and I was so drawn to this hummingbird that she painted. And I didn't even really, so I came back, I would walk past her and I'm like, oh, I have to talk to this painter because the hummingbird really spoke to me. So I started to talk to her about the hummingbird. And then I said, and she said, she talked about, in Native American and her ancestry. And she said, and I said, oh, do you know Leonard Peltier? And I looked down and she's wearing a Free Leonard t-shirt. That's how, I was like focused on the hummingbird. I'm like, oh my God. She said, actually, my grandfather is. And so she told me who you were. I'm like, oh, that's amazing. That's crazy. So anyway, it was a funny little piece of
Small world.
magic in San Francisco around the corner from my house. And then I had told Kimberly, I don't know if I'd mentioned to Dawn. And I didn't tell Paulette. I want to say hi to Paulette too. I see you that you're there. And
Hi, how are you? Nice to see you. How are you feeling?
not great. In fact, I'm going to sign off. But it's great to see you all. And thanks for inviting me. And
Oh, I'm so happy you're here, Gabriela. You take care.
yeah, you guys take
Good to see
care.
you. Much love.
Okay,
Good
bye.
to see you.
Good to see you all.
She and I were at
Good to see
a
you.
Amnesty conference and Leonard called. And so I put her on the phone and she got to talk with Leonard.
No, Paulette, I blame you for this because I didn't know what the hell to say to him.
I know, right?
I used to have a t-shirt when in the 80s, right? And I had, I'd known about the right for rights. I care about Leonard. I'd been an activist, but when you put him on the phone with me and I made a promise that I would do whatever I could to help him get out, I'm doing my best, man. But I've had 2 rounds of dealing with some illnesses that are just kicking my, So yeah, but Paulette, I will never forget that.
Well, that's right. If anything I can do to help, let me know.
Yeah, we love you, Gabriela. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
You're
Take good
amazing. You
care.
have a wonderful night.
You too.
Thank you
There.
for coming.
Bye.
Gosh,
Is
Love
Nancy
everyone.
still here? Nancy's not here any longer. Okay.
see you on Twitter.
I'm gonna
Thank
leave
you.
y'all with a picture of the sunset tonight, because it's amazing. It is just amazing. Prettiest one I've seen all summer.
Better
Oh.
tweet it, Mom.
Oh, shit.
Half of the people here are Facebook people and half the people are TikTok and half the people are Twitter.
And Kimberly, can
Yeah.
you teach, Kimberly, can
Can you
you
see
teach
it?
me how to do TikTok?
Absolutely.
Can you see it? It's
Okay,
kind
I'll
of
call
faded
you.
out now, but
So I posted a video of
That is pretty, Sam.
can we stop recording so we can chit chat? No, I posted a video of David today and I got hundreds of views like in a couple hours.